First contact and dissolution. The coffee in Isabella Reeves' cup had long gone cold, forgotten amidst the cascade of emergency alerts flooding her Pentagon terminal. As senior intelligence analyst for the Department of Defense's Special Threats Division, she'd seen her share of concerning satellite data, but nothing like this. The objects had appeared just beyond Mars' orbit 30 minutes ago, a fleet of massive vessels arranged in a perfect geometric pattern that defied natural formation. "Tell me you're seeing this," she called out to her colleague across the dimly lit monitoring station. The entire night shift had gathered around their screens, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of incoming data streams. The vessels accelerated toward Earth at speeds that violated everything they understood about physics. Isabella's fingers flew across her keyboard, running simulation after simulation, each one confirming what seemed impossible. The fleet would reach Earth's atmosphere within hours, not the days or weeks such a journey should require. Pentagon protocols for first contact scenarios existed, of course. Isabella had helped write them. But theory crumbled in the face of reality as the ships entered high Earth orbit, their metallic surfaces reflecting sunlight like artificial stars visible even in daylight. "Get me Dr. James Whitmore from Brookhaven National Laboratory," Isabella ordered, remembering the theoretical physicist's controversial papers about potential alien propulsion systems. His work had been dismissed as fringe science. But right now, fringe science was all they had. Within 20 minutes, Dr. Whitmore's disheveled figure appeared on the main screen, his gray hair wild and eyes bright with barely contained excitement. "Ms. Reeves, I assume this isn't a social call. Doctor, I need you to look at these readings." She transmitted the data, watching his expression change from academic interest to open-mouthed shock. "These energy signatures, they're exactly what I predicted in my paper about cross-dimensional travel. These ships aren't just moving through space, they're bending it." The first ship entered the atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean, its massive hull creating atmospheric disturbances visible from space. Global communications erupted with panic, but Isabella remained focused on her instruments, recording every detail of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Then something unexpected happened. The ship's outer hull began to shimmer, not with the heat of atmospheric entry, but with an internal light that seemed to pulse in waves. As it descended below the clouded layer, the effect intensified. Military satellites captured the moment in perfect clarity. The ship's surface began to flake away like autumn leaves in a strong wind. "What are we seeing?" Isabella demanded, but Dr. Whitmore was already furiously taking notes, his earlier excitement replaced by intense concentration. "The molecular structure. It's degrading somehow. But that's impossible unless—" He trailed off, his face pale. The ship's dissolution accelerated. By the time it reached 5,000 feet above sea level, large sections were simply vanishing, turning into a fine, glittering dust that scattered across the Pacific. The other ships, still in high orbit, halted their descent. "They're receiving telemetry from the lead ship," Isabella realized. "They're seeing what's happening." The remaining vessels began emergency maneuvers, but it was too late. As each one attempted to retreat, the same effect began to manifest. Ships that ventured too close to Earth's upper atmosphere started to disintegrate, their massive forms reduced to clouds of shimmering particles that lit up the sky like aurora borealis. In the chaos that followed, Isabella found herself working closely with Dr. Whitmore, who had been rushed to the Pentagon by military transport. They studied the dust samples collected from the Pacific, finding that the alien material seemed to undergo some kind of fundamental molecular collapse when exposed to Earth's environment. "It's as if something about Earth itself is toxic to their technology," Dr. Whitmore explained during an emergency briefing with military leadership. "The effect appears to be triggered by a combination of factors in our atmosphere, magnetic field, and possibly even the planet's core itself." The implications were staggering. Earth appeared to have a natural defense system against alien invasion, one that no one had ever detected because there had never been anything to defend against. As Isabella compiled her preliminary report, she couldn't shake the feeling that they'd stumbled upon something far more significant than just a planetary defense mechanism. What if, she posed to Dr. Whitmore late that night, as they examined more data, this isn't a natural phenomenon at all? What if Earth was deliberately engineered to be toxic to certain types of advanced technology? The question hung in the air between them, opening up possibilities that would reshape humanity's understanding of not just their place in the universe, but their own origins. As dawn broke over the Pentagon, the sky still shimmering with the remnants of the alien fleet, Isabella knew that this was just the beginning of a much larger discovery. The world would never be the same, and somewhere out in the cosmos, other civilizations were undoubtedly receiving the telemetry from their failed invasion force, learning that Earth was not the defenseless target they had assumed it to be. Dust and data. The Bergen Research Facility rose from the Norwegian fjords like a fortress of steel and glass, its architecture deliberately understated to avoid drawing attention. 3 weeks had passed since the invasion attempt, and within its walls, an international team of scientists worked tirelessly to understand the phenomenon that had saved humanity. Dr. Whitmore stood at the observation window, watching as robotic arms manipulated samples of alien dust behind thick containment shields. Behind him, Isabella Reeves coordinated with military attaches from a dozen nations, all demanding answers about Earth's mysterious defense system. The decay pattern is consistent, announced Dr. Nadia Petrov, a quantum physicist from Moscow University. Her holographic display showed the molecular breakdown of alien materials in real time, but it only occurs within 100 kilometers of Earth's surface. Beyond that, the samples remain stable. Isabella approached the display, her military uniform now replaced by the facility's standard research attire. So whatever's causing this has a specific range of influence. Could it be related to the magnetosphere? Not exactly, came a voice from the doorway. Dr. Rashid Kumar, the facility's lead geologist, entered with a tablet displaying new seismic data. We've detected unusual energy signatures emanating from deep within the Earth's crust. They seem to pulse in harmony with the planet's magnetic field, but they're not generated by it. The implications of his discovery sent ripples through the research team. If Earth's defensive capability wasn't purely magnetic in nature, what was generating it? More importantly, how had it remained undetected until now? Look at this, Dr. Whitmore called out, his voice tight with excitement. He transferred his data to the main display, showing a complex pattern of energy waves. The alien material doesn't just decay. It's being actively broken down at a quantum level. Something is targeting specific molecular configurations that don't match Earth's natural patterns. Isabella felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying Earth can recognize what belongs here and what doesn't? More than that, Dr. Petrov interjected, her eyes wide. The energy signature shows signs of deliberate engineering. These aren't random natural phenomena. They're more like programming. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Someone or something had engineered Earth itself to reject certain types of advanced technology. The question was, who and why? Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent alert from the facility's perimeter sensors. New objects had been detected approaching Earth, smaller this time, and moving more cautiously than the previous fleet. They're probes, Isabella realized, studying the tracking data. They're testing our defenses. The team watched as the alien devices approached, each one stopping just beyond the 100-kilometer threshold. Unlike their predecessors, these machines seem designed for observation rather than invasion. They're learning, Dr. Kumar observed grimly, adapting their approach. In the days that followed, the probes maintained their distance, analyzing Earth's defensive barrier without triggering it. Isabella coordinated with military commands worldwide, ensuring that no one would attempt to shoot them down. The last thing they needed was to provoke another confrontation before understanding their own capabilities. Dr. Whitmore's team made a breakthrough when they managed to stabilize a small sample of alien material by encasing it in a specialized containment field. The achievement was significant. It proved that Earth's defense mechanism could potentially be blocked or controlled. The containment field mimics the quantum signature of Earth-native materials, he explained during a briefing. It's like we're disguising the alien technology, making it appear natural to whatever's scanning it. Isabella immediately grasped the implications. If they figure this out, they could potentially shield their ships from the effect. Dr. Petrov finished. We need to understand this system before they do. The research took an unexpected turn when Dr. Kumar's team discovered similar energy signatures at other locations around the globe, always deep underground, always near major tectonic boundaries. Each site pulsed with the same engineered energy they detected in Norway. It's a network, Isabella breathed, staring at the global map of detection points. These sites are connected, working together to generate the defensive field. Dr. Whitmore nodded slowly. And they've been here longer than human civilization. Much longer. As if to underscore the urgency of their discovery, new alerts began flooding in. The probes were moving, reorganizing themselves into a pattern that the computers quickly identified. They were preparing to test the barrier. They're going to sacrifice one of their probes, Isabella announced, watching the tactical display. They want to see exactly how the defense system works. The assembled team watched in tense silence as one of the alien devices began its descent. This time, however, something was different. The probe's outer shell was emanating a field similar to their containment system. They've reached the same conclusion we did, Dr. Petrov whispered. They're trying to mask their quantum signature. The probe crossed the 100-kilometer threshold, its protective field glowing brightly against the atmosphere. For a moment, it appeared their strategy might work, but then the inevitable began to happen. The dissolution effect started at the edges of the protective field, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Within minutes, another cloud of alien dust drifted down through Earth's atmosphere, but this time, they had learned something crucial. The aliens' attempt to circumvent the defense system proved it could be influenced by the right technology. The question now was whether humanity could master their planet's ancient defenses before their visitors mastered a way to defeat them. As Isabella stared at the falling fragments of the alien probe, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. Somewhere out there, an advanced civilization was analyzing the data from their failed attempts, growing more determined with each failure. Earth's mysterious guardians had protected humanity once, but would they be enough for what was coming next? The answer, she suspected, lay buried in those ancient sites around the world, waiting to be discovered. The second wave. The warning came at midnight Oslo time. High-orbit sensors detected massive gravitational distortions forming just beyond lunar orbit, signatures that dwarfed anything they'd seen from the first invasion fleet. Isabella Reeves stood in the Bergen Facilities Command Center, watching as the tactical display filled with new contacts. They've adapted, Dr. Whitmore said grimly, his face illuminated by the holographic readouts. Look at their hull configurations. The new ships were different. Their surfaces rippled with energy fields similar to the probe's protective shell, but far more sophisticated. These vessels weren't here to test Earth's defenses. They were designed to break them. All global defense stations, this is Pentagon Override Alpha. Isabella spoke into the worldwide command channel. Do not, repeat, do not engage. Let them come within the barrier. Dr. Petrov's instruments were already recording massive data streams. The energy output from their shields. It's organized in quantum layers. They're trying to match Earth's natural frequencies. The first ship entered the 100-kilometer threshold, and everyone held their breath. Unlike its predecessors, it didn't immediately begin to disintegrate. Instead, its shields flared brilliant blue, fighting against the planet's invisible defenses. They're lasting longer, Dr. Kumar observed, monitoring the deep Earth sensors. But look, the planetary defense network is adapting too. The energy signatures are changing, becoming more focused. He was right. The mysterious underground sites they'd discovered were pulsing with increased power, responding to the threat. The alien vessel's shields began to falter, patches of its hull starting to dissolve despite their protective fields. But it had survived long enough to transmit data back to its fleet. "They're all moving now," Isabella announced, watching as the entire Armada began its descent. "They're going to overwhelm the system through sheer numbers." Dr. Whitmore rushed to his console. "We need to amplify the defense network. If we can channel additional power through the discovered sites, that could destabilize the entire system," Dr. Petrov warned. "We barely understand how it works." "We don't have a choice," Isabella cut in. "Doctor, what do you need?" The next hours were a blur of desperate activity. As the alien fleet descended, teams of scientists and engineers worked to interface their technology with the ancient defense network. They used the knowledge gained from studying the alien dust to create quantum resonance amplifiers, installing them at key points around the discovered sites. The alien strategy became clear as their ships split into smaller groups, each targeting different regions of Earth's atmosphere. They were probing for weaknesses, looking for any gap in the planetary defense. "Energy spike," Dr. Kumar shouted. One of the underground sites in the Ural Mountains had activated with unprecedented power, its output nearly overwhelming their sensors. The alien ships above that region began dissolving faster, their enhanced shields proving inadequate against the strengthened defense field. "That's it," Dr. Whitmore exclaimed. "The system isn't just defensive. It's adaptive. It's learning from each attack, becoming stronger." Isabella quickly coordinated with military commands worldwide, directing them to focus their power generation capabilities on the nearest ancient sites. As each location received more energy, the defense network's power grew exponentially. But the aliens weren't done. Their remaining ships began emitting a new type of energy signature, attempting to harmonize with Earth's defensive field rather than fight it. "Clever," Dr. Petrov muttered. "They're trying to trick the system into recognizing them as natural." For a moment, it seemed to work. Several ships managed to descend lower than any before, their hulls maintaining integrity as they pushed through the barrier. Panic spread through the command center as they watched the vessels approach major population centers. Then something unexpected happened. The underground sites began resonating in a new pattern, one that seemed to ripple through the planet's entire crust. The defense field didn't just strengthen, it changed completely, adopting frequencies that no one, not even the aliens, had anticipated. "It's not just adapting," Dr. Kumar breathed, staring at his readings in awe. "It's evolving." The effect on the alien fleet was catastrophic. Ships that had seemed on the verge of breakthrough suddenly began to dissolve at unprecedented rates. Even their most sophisticated shields couldn't match the defense system's new configuration. Within minutes, the sky was filled with falling dust once again. But this time, the particles weren't just disintegrated alien material. They were charged with energy from the defense network, creating spectacular auroras visible worldwide. As the last ships dissolved, Isabella noticed something in the data streams that chilled her. "Doctor, look at these patterns in the defense network's response." Dr. Whitmore studied the readouts, his expression growing increasingly troubled. "These aren't random adaptations. This is a programmed response to a recognized threat." He looked up, meeting Isabella's gaze. The system knew exactly what these ships were. It's encountered them before. The implications were staggering. Earth's defensive network wasn't just ancient. It was built to protect against specific enemies. Someone had engineered their entire planet as a fortress against threats they were only now beginning to encounter. "There's something else," Dr. Petrov called out. "The energy signatures from the underground sites. They're forming new patterns. I think the system is trying to communicate." After successfully repelling 2 invasion attempts, humanity stood on the brink of an even greater discovery. The very ground beneath their feet held secrets that would reshape their understanding of Earth's history and their place in the cosmos. As the facility's systems began recording the new signals emerging from deep within the Earth, Isabella couldn't help but wonder, were they finally ready to learn who their ancient protectors had been? And more importantly, "You're not going to believe this," Dr. Kumar called out, rushing into the chamber with fresh analysis results. "We've dated the crystals. They're over 100 million years old." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled team. Whatever civilization had created Earth's defenses, they had done so long before humans walked the planet. "Look at this structure," Dr. Whitmore pointed to a holographic display of the crystal's internal matrix. "It's not just data storage, it's a quantum computer. Each crystal is part of a planetary network that's been running calculations for millions of years." As if responding to their discovery, the crystals' pulsing intensified. Patterns of light began forming in the air above them, coalescing into three-dimensional images that left everyone speechless. They were looking at a star map, but not of the current galaxy. The configuration showed stellar positions from millions of years ago, with one particular region highlighted. "That's where they came from," Isabella breathed. "Our protectors." The images shifted, showing a civilization far more advanced than anything humanity had imagined. They called themselves the predecessors, and they had arrived on Earth during the age of dinosaurs, fleeing from the same enemies that had just tried to invade. They didn't just visit Earth, Dr. Petrov realized as more information revealed itself. They transformed it. The entire planet was engineered to be a sanctuary. The holographic display showed how the predecessors had modified Earth's core, atmosphere, and magnetic field, creating a multi-layered defense system that would protect not just themselves, but any intelligence that evolved on the planet. "That's why the system activated now," Dr. Whitmore explained, his voice filled with wonder. "It was waiting for Earth's native intelligence, us, to reach a level of technology advanced enough to understand it." But the revelations didn't stop there. The crystals showed more. The predecessors hadn't just defended Earth. They had seeded it with the building blocks of life, guiding evolution toward forms that could one day understand and inherit their legacy. "We're their descendants," Isabella said softly, "not biologically, but by design. They created an environment where intelligent life could evolve and eventually comprehend their technology." Dr. Kumar's instruments detected movement from deeper in the Earth. "The network is activating more sites. There are chambers like this one all over the world, all coming online." The holographic display expanded, showing a complete map of the predecessors' installations. Each site contained not just defensive systems, but vast archives of knowledge. Everything from advanced physics to the history of their civilization. "They left us everything," Dr. Petrov whispered. "All their knowledge, their technology, their history, waiting for us to be ready." But with this gift came a warning. The crystals showed why the predecessors had fled, why they had gone to such lengths to protect Earth. Their enemies, the same beings whose ships had just turned to dust in Earth's atmosphere, were part of a hostile collective that consumed civilizations, absorbing their technology and knowledge while destroying their independence. The defense system wasn't just protecting us from invasion, Isabella realized. It was preventing them from accessing the predecessors' legacy until we could claim it ourselves. A new series of images appeared, showing the location of something the predecessors had hidden beneath Earth's surface, a technological archive that would elevate humanity to their level of advancement, but only if they proved worthy by discovering and understanding it on their own. "That's why the system adapted during the second invasion," Dr. Whitmore said. "It was testing us, seeing how we would react, whether we would try to understand rather than just resist." As the team worked to process this flood of information, more crystals began activating worldwide. Each one contained different pieces of the predecessor's knowledge, creating a global puzzle that would require the cooperation of all humanity to solve. Isabella stared at the slowly rotating star map, showing both where the predecessors had come from and where their enemies still lurked. They knew the attackers would keep coming back, growing stronger each time. They weren't just giving us a defense system, they were giving us time to prepare. The crystal's light pulsed in confirmation. Humanity had passed the first test by working to understand the defense system rather than just relying on it. Now they had access to the tools they would need for the challenges ahead. Look, Dr. Kumar pointed to new data streaming in. The network is showing us more locations, deeper installations we haven't found yet. There's something big hidden under the Pacific Ocean. The revelation of Earth's true history was just the beginning. As humanity began to access the predecessors' knowledge, they would need to grow into their role as inheritors of an ancient legacy, preparing for the day when they would have to face their aggressors on equal terms. The question was, would they be ready when that day came? Ascension. 5 years after the discovery of the predecessor's legacy, the Pacific installation rose from the ocean floor like a city from legend. Its crystalline spires stretched toward the sky, a testament to humanity's rapid advancement under the guidance of their ancient benefactors' knowledge. Isabella Reeves stood on the installation's main observation deck, her reflection overlaid with holographic displays, showing the status of humanity's first faster-than-light ship under construction in orbit. Dr. Whitmore joined her, his hair now completely white, but his eyes still bright with the same curiosity that had helped unlock the predecessor's secrets. "The quantum core is stable," he reported, gesturing to one of the displays. "We've successfully integrated their drive technology with our understanding of physics. She'll be ready for her first test flight next month." The ship, named Legacy, represented everything humanity had learned from the predecessor's archives. It wasn't just a vessel. It was a statement to the galaxy that Earth's children had come of age. "Any sign of our friends?" Isabella asked, referring to the hostile collective that had twice tried to invade Earth. Dr. Petrov's voice came through the communication system. "They're still out there, watching. Our new sensor network can detect their scout ships at the edge of the solar system. But they haven't attempted another approach since we activated the Pacific installation." The installation itself was more than just a base. It was the central hub of the predecessor's network, containing their most advanced technologies and direct links to similar facilities on other worlds they had seeded throughout the galaxy. "The star maps are complete," Dr. Kumar announced, joining them on the deck. "We've identified 37 other worlds with predecessor installations. 3 show signs of developing civilizations, similar to where we were before the first invasion." Isabella nodded, knowing what that meant. The predecessors hadn't just protected Earth. They had created a network of potential allies, all guided along similar paths of development. Humanity's role now wasn't just to inherit their benefactors' legacy, but to help protect and nurture these other emerging civilizations. "The quantum entanglement network is online," Dr. Whitmore added. "We can communicate with any of the activated installations instantly, across any distance." The predecessors planned for everything. They wanted their children to be able to find each other. The hostile collective had gone silent since humanity's dramatic technological leap, but everyone knew they weren't done. They were studying, adapting, preparing for a confrontation with a now advanced Earth. "Look at this," Dr. Petrov called out, her hologram appearing beside them. She displayed new data from the deep space sensors. "We're detecting quantum signatures similar to the predecessor's technology, but they're not from any known installation." The implications were clear. Somewhere out there, other civilizations had already inherited their own predecessors' legacies. Earth wasn't alone in its advancement. As if confirming this, a new signal reached their quantum communications array. It came from a star system they had identified as housing another predecessor installation. But this wasn't an automated message. It was a greeting. "They're like us," Isabella realized, reading the translated signal. "Another species that passed their trial, that proved worthy of the legacy. They want to meet." The message contained coordinates for a neutral location, a space station built by the predecessors specifically for this moment, when their various protected species began to find each other. Dr. Whitmore smiled. The legacy's first mission just got more interesting. The construction of humanity's first faster-than-light ship accelerated, driven by the prospect of meeting other inheritors of the predecessor's knowledge. But they didn't work alone. Quantum communications allowed them to share insights and technologies with their new allies, creating a network of civilizations united by their common heritage. The predecessors didn't just give us technology, Isabella mused, watching as another section of the legacy took shape in orbit. They gave us a purpose. We're part of something larger now. The hostile collective would return. Everyone knew that. But when they did, they wouldn't find an isolated planet protected by automated defenses. They would face an alliance of civilizations, each bringing their own interpretation and advancement of the predecessor's legacy. As the sun set over the Pacific installation, its crystalline spires glowing with internal light, Isabella thought about the journey ahead. Humanity had moved from using the predecessor's defenses to understanding their knowledge. And now they were ready to take their place among the stars. The legacy would launch soon, carrying Earth's first ambassadors to meet their fellow inheritors. But it would carry something else too. A message to any hostile force that might threaten the predecessor's children. Earth was no longer just a fortress. It was a beacon, a center of power and knowledge, ready to defend not just itself, but all those who shared in the grand legacy they had inherited. The age of isolation was over. The age of ascension had begun. In orbit, the legacy's quantum core pulsed with power, ready to carry humanity toward its destiny among the stars. The predecessor's greatest gift hadn't been their technology or their defenses. It had been the chance for their protected species to find each other, to unite, to become something greater than any one civilization could be alone. As night fell over the Pacific, the installation's lights reflected off the ocean's surface, creating a bridge of light reaching toward the stars. Humanity's next chapter was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.